Welcome back to In the Kitchen. Today, I'm going to put together what I call a kitchen shortcut. It's basically a cornbread dressing casserole with chicken, porcini mushrooms. We got some cheddar cheese. We're going to make some bacon bits here. So let's get into it. We got 1 pound of bacon here that I am going to basically cut into little strips because I'm going to make some bacon bits, and then I'm going to cook my chicken after I cut that into strips in the bacon bits. Makes it just simply tasty. So we'll go ahead and we'll get these in there. Get these guys going. Let that go over there. I will prep this chicken. This is boneless, skinless thighs. It's the best chicken there is. I stay away from breasts. They tend to get too dry in this dish. So I got a little bit of fat in here, and that's good. We'll leave some of that chicken skin on there for fat. And we're just going to slice the chicken down. Nothing crazy, just simple slices. We're not going to worry about seasoning it because we're cooking it in that bacon fat. That's going to give us a nice flavor. And then we'll toss in them porcini mushrooms that I got soaking in chicken broth. So I get my porcini mushrooms imported from Italy. So they're freeze dried. So they have a very stable shelf life. Very long shelf life. It's very stable on the shelf. So what I do is I'll take them out and I will either soak them in like a beef broth or a chicken broth to rehydrate them. But you're going to see that I'm going to use this chicken broth that I've been soaking the porcini mushrooms in to actually hydrate the stuffing mix, the instant stuffing mix that I purchased. So we'll let that go there. We got 1 stick of butter ready here, and that's going to go on with our regular instant stuffing. And I know you're looking at me like, a chef using instant stuffing? Well, it's a shortcut. This dish is designed to basically take you about 15-20 minutes to prep, and then bake it off for about a half hour, and you're good to go. So this is regular, it's seasoned cornbread. It's going to make our casserole base. So we'll get this going. You know, after you've been working all day, the last thing you want to do is spend an hour, hour and a half prepping a dish like this, right? So I come up with a way to where we don't have to bake off, you know, make a whole bunch of cornbread and break it all up and then season it and do all that. I'm trying to, you know, make it as simplistic as possible in this dish, but also have it taste like it took you an hour and a half to 2 hours to make. So we just want to fry this bacon off till it starts to get a little crispy, and then we're going to add in the chicken. And then lastly, we'll go ahead and we'll add in the mushrooms. So we got our mushrooms here. They're rehydrating. It only takes about 15 minutes or so to really rehydrate it. But what it does is it also seasons the chicken broth that I stuck in here too, while it's hydrating those mushrooms. So that's Flavor Town. Okay, so start adding in this chicken now. Just kind of spread it around. Get it all in there. And right about this point, if you haven't done so, preheat your oven to 375, because that's what you're going to cook at. I've already done so, so I don't have to. For those of you that are a little health conscious, You don't have to cook your chicken in your bacon fat. I do it for that next level of flavor. It's perfectly acceptable to drain the bacon fat and go ahead and pan fry the chicken strips separately. Totally up to you. I just like cooking the chicken with the bacon because it gives it a whole nother level of taste. You want to watch to make sure you don't overcook this chicken. We don't want it to be rough. We're going to be baking this dish. So even if we cook this chicken up to about 140, we're going to catch it when we bake. So it's going to bring us where we need to be anyway. Not that concerned with it. So now I'm about halfway done on the chicken, it looks like. So now it's time for me to go ahead and start to add in the porcini mushrooms that have been rehydrated. It's as simple as just grabbing and tossing them in. If you don't like porcini mushrooms or you don't like mushrooms, you do not have to put mushrooms in this dish. Perfectly acceptable to skip them. All right. So now we're going to save this hydration liquid because we're going to use that. Not all of it, but we're going to use it. What you're trying to do is trying to keep the chicken very low to the pot or to the cast iron here, so this chicken cooks. So you're just constantly moving it around, making sure it's looking good, which it does. We're going to put in some pepper, and we're going to let that go. And we're going to move over here now. Wood spoon fork. All right. We're going to add a little bit of our juice here. Start mixing this up because basically we're making the breading portion now, which is the instant stuffing or dressing. And we're just trying to, we don't want to make it too wet and soggy. We just want to get some of it in there. I'm going to add some butter now. This is a stick of butter that I melted down. I probably will use it all. This is all about the consistency, right? So you're just going to keep stirring this and letting this absorb this liquid until we get a nice kind of fluffy look to it. The star to this dish is the chicken, the bacon, and the mushrooms. This breading, this cornbread breading is kind of like just a background accent. That looks good to me right there. Put a little bit more butter in there. Mix that in. I'll add some of my cheddar. We're just going to kind of layering the flavors. That looks good. All right. We might be done with them. We'll see what we look like. I like the way this is starting to feel. Chicken's getting nice and cooked here. Bacon's getting crispy. Everything's looking real good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a metal strainer and a bowl. Because when I take this off the heat, so it's basically just a bowl with a metal strainer. Don't use plastic. You will melt the plastic. But I don't want all of my rendered bacon fat in my mix here. I've used the bacon grease about as much as I'm going to, so I don't want it no more. So I'm now going to give this another minute or two here, and then I'm going to pull it off. And I'm going to run it through that strainer to make sure that I don't get any bacon fat, any excess bacon fat in the casserole. But that looks good. It's probably been about not even 15 minutes. We'll turn the flame off and we'll start to just pick it up, drop it in the strainer. I don't want to dump the pan in there because I want to try to keep all the oil in this pan. So that's why I'm just trying to take out what I can and put it over there and try to drain it before it gets there, so we get the bulk of the grease out of it. We'll just set that back there to cool. Give it a little dump it in. Now we'll start to incorporate it. We don't want any clumps of the dressing. We want that cornbread dressing kind of all broken up into little pieces. No big clumps, which that looks good. Some cheese in there. We're ready to plate or pan it now. So we'll get it in a casserole dish. Spread it around. Make sure it's even. Put some more cheese on the top. This cheese is going to brown up real nice as it cooks. As it bakes, should I say. All right. That looks good. Get that big glob out of there. We're going to bake it off for about 25-30 minutes or so. We'll see what it looks like, and we'll show you when it's done. Okay, so it's been a half hour now. We're going to go ahead and pull this out. Oh, yeah, look at that. "15-minute prep, half-hour bake, and this is what you get." Look at that. Simple, quick, fast, homemade casserole. Jersey Joe style. Remember, say a prayer, thanking the Almighty for the gifts that He gives you, and keep the faith. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, as well as follow us on Facebook at Jersey Joe Conjemi.